For decades, containing a geopolitical threat meant controlling physical space. You set up customs agents at ports, drew strict lines on maps, and watched the cargo ships cross the ocean. But a physical checkpoint fails when the restricted asset is a microscopic string of code or a piece of silicon the size of a fingernail. Adversaries adapt quickly. When a direct shipment is blocked, they route orders through complex webs of overseas shell companies, exploiting the gaps between different countries' trade laws through regulatory arbitrage. Even physical procurement can be abandoned entirely. An adversary can sit behind a virtual private network and simply rent the compute power they need from a remote server halfway across the world. With physical borders proving insufficient, regulators have shifted focus to an invisible, multi-layered net that tracks data and capital across the entire supply chain. The first layer begins by aligning the global rulebook. Allied nations, specifically the US, Japan, and the Netherlands, have locked together to implement unified control lists, ensuring that a blocked shipment in one country isn't legally cleared in another. The immediate evasion tactic is to hide the true buyer behind a maze of foreign paperwork and corporate proxies. Looking at the corporate ownership row, US regulators deploy global entity restrictions. They track ownership structures to identify who is pulling the strings. By freezing assets at the top of the ownership tree, regulators invalidate the financial flows of every linked subsidiary. Trapping bad paperwork is highly effective, but highly motivated actors will eventually resort to stuffing hardware into suitcases. To stop physical smuggling, the defense has to be built into the product itself. That pushes the front line of containment away from government desks and directly into the clean rooms of manufacturers like TSMC and NVIDIA. Despite the tightest corporate registry controls, high-end microchips can still be smuggled across land borders after leaving the factory floor. To counter this, manufacturers are embedding cryptographic IDs straight into the physical silicon of the chips. This creates a digital leash, triggering remote kill switches. If moved to an unauthorized region, the chip instantly bricks itself, rendering the hardware useless. The silicon transforms into a self-enforcing border guard, neutralizing the value of physical theft before the hardware even powers up. Once physical hardware becomes impossible to steal or operate, adversaries pivot entirely to the virtual layer, using VPNs to anonymously rent server access abroad. This activates the fourth pillar. Major cloud providers enforce mandatory Know Your Customer protocols, treating access to computing power like opening a bank account. Even if a user masks their geographic location, AI-driven anomaly flagging scans for sudden spikes in massive data processing and automatically blocks the connection. These systems operate sequentially. Bypassing the border triggers the registry trap. Beating the registry activates the kill switch, and abandoning hardware flags cloud sensors. Layering these controls closes adversary loopholes, sealing the environment. Tracing lines on a physical map is no longer the primary defense against technological proliferation. The summary at the bottom of this table spells out the new reality. Geographic borders are no longer sufficient. The perimeter is distributed across data centers, silicon, and corporate databases. The Key Actors column shows this requires synchronized partnerships between regulators and tech monopolies. Maintaining business operations now requires continuous compliance monitoring. Every shipment and digital transaction is vetted against the registry in real time to avoid system-wide blocks. To operate globally today, companies have to recognize that geopolitical containment is hard-coded directly into the tools they use every single day.